Hello, it's me, Fidiscus Juskic. I've got another replay on Lucifer. It's one of the two recently added standard maps that I haven't done a match analysis on yet. The other is Aphotic Arena Anew, which I'll be doing later today. This match is between Junkmail, who's playing Eagle, and Starflash 250, who's playing Andy. I've got it at the end of the first day because this replay viewer has been really mean to me and not allowed me to progress properly. As far as the map goes, it's a 3-base map. The HQs are very close to the back bases. There's also airports to cap near those. The map is just divided by this S-shaped mountain range. There's comm towers close to the center of it, and on the ends of the S, there are bases for each player to cap. So it'll be interesting to see how players fight around these mountain ranges, and how important these back lanes behind the S-shaped formation will be to the HQs. I don't think there's gonna be a huge issue of like sneak caps because the base is so close to the HQ. There are also harbors on this map, but it seems kind of they never get used. I think that I've yet to see a ship actually fire in Advanced Wars by Web. So maybe one day. This is the first turn advantage counter infantry that Starflash 250 was granted, by the way. So pretty standard stuff, advancing towards the neutral base. Curious to see if Starflash will go for the comm tower, the city first. It doesn't seem like players have a really good understanding of. Maybe I shouldn't say understanding. Players don't have a unanimous decision whether capping one or the other is better. In this situation, it seems like the city is better because it doesn't seem like you're all that likely to fight until after you can already get this under control. Okay, so this infantry, your Starflash is going for the back cap onto the city, and Junkmail is going for this early airport. Makes sense, I suppose, since he's Eagle, he'll want to get air units as soon as possible. Get that extra attack boost. And Starflash doesn't seem all that concerned about his airport. He's even going for this back city, which is really far out of the way. It's not going to be easy to get that infantry to go into anything after it caps this. I suppose it can go forward onto this city, but even that doesn't feel all that good. Interesting. So Junkmail does opt to build an early tank. He could have saved this money and then next turn built a battlecopter instead, but he does value the tank for this immediate pressure that it's going to have. The airport's really far back, so even if he had built his battlecopter, it would take a while for it to get to the front. It's much closer with this tank. The infantry that Starflash has right here won't be able to cap the city before the tank is going to be able to threaten it. This city's going to remain neutral for longer than if Junkmail had gone for the battlecopter. Starflash still hasn't even started to cap this airport. I think that he's going to move this infantry down there though. No. He wants this city more than he wants that airport. Interesting. And so Starflash has built a tank as well now. This tank is going to be able to contest the one that Junkmail has built. Junkmail caps the comm tower that's about on time. Starflash will have his this turn as well. Same day. Nothing but infantry this turn, so that that opens up the opportunity to build a battlecopter next turn. It's going to play pretty aggressively with this infantry and this tank, I would say. This doesn't feel... This feels pretty risky, going out this far. And this way, even though there's nothing that's immediately threatening to them, this tank is just going to be able to move up. And then what? I suppose if he doesn't stop... If he doesn't stop the cap... If Starflash doesn't stop Junkmail's cap on this west side city, then he's guaranteed that. The tank can't stop it. I don't believe. No, it can. It definitely can. Got the turn order wrong. Another tank for Starflash. So Junkmail opts to stop the cap on the city. It's a little strange, this situation. Just a little weird because of the way that this tank is positioned. You can go just far enough to hit the infantry on the other side, and that'll just be planes versus planes. And then if he hits the infantry, then I think that he can get the kill with the one on the city. And indeed, Junkmail does build the copter. Starflash finally starting to cap this airport down here. Okay, so he backs the... This makes sense. He just backs up the 6 HP infantry. He's Andy. It'll get healed one way or another eventually. 6 HP is not so bad. And then he parks the tank on the city. There's no avenue where Junkmail's going to want to take that fight. It's totally reasonable. It seems like Starflash has just won this west side basically. He's gotten everything that he could expect to get out of it. In the center, maybe he's not doing quite as hot. There's 2 tanks. He's got enough money to build an anti-air if he wants to from this base. Yep. Here comes the copter. The anti-air... The copter seems really good on this map because of the mountain range. It's going to be difficult for the anti-air to get into a position where the copter can very freely attack the things that are climbing the mountains. If they're on the other side of the mountains, it's a little rough, a little more difficult. But this play that Starflash is going for, trying to climb over the mountains with these, I don't think that it'll work out with the battlecopter there. But on the other hand, Junkmail doesn't have anything to protect the battlecopter from the anti-air other than infantry, so, and they'll get shredded. Starflash also secured the east side city that's the equivalent of the west side one that he's starting to cap now, and I would assume is going to be able to successfully cap. Yeah, this doesn't get interrupted. So Junkmail builds a tank on the west side, so it seems like this battlecopter is going to remain unprotected. this seems pretty substantial. The having both of these cities on the east and west side is a lot of money. Um, I don't know where the income is being made up. Oh, one way is because Starflash has not yet captured this airport. The other is from this forward base in the center of the map, or from the forward city in the center of the map. Okay, so here's a successful attack with the battlecopter, threatening or stopping this cap on the city. That keeps the incomes pretty even. So, where'd the other tank go? Yeah, so here's the other tank. Ah, this tank is kind of. This tank is in a really weird position. He can move it here. That doesn't feel well pretty safe because the anti-air will be able to move over here and keep it safer. Junk Mail does build a tank on the east side to start protecting this copter from anti-air. There's a lot of tanks on the west side for Junk Mail now, and having moved this tank towards the center is quite, I want to say damaging, but it's cost Starflash a lot, and we'll see what he's able to get from it. Okay, so I think that this B-Copter might be pretty much boned. Especially if, well, and this is a little far away. This back base isn't quite forward enough to build an anti-air to come totally bone this copter, but it's going to have to fly towards the west side, and there's not going to be a whole lot for it to do over there, it doesn't look like. This is not somewhere where Junk Mail needs more units. The tank advantage over here is still pretty big for him. Starflash builds an artillery and a tank, and an infantry, yeah. Okay, so he's able to fly the copter far enough to get it to attack a tank. That's good. Brand new tank comes from downtown. Kill the one on the city. Oh, this is good movement. So he moves this. He had the forward base build a tank. Junk Mail had the forward base build a tank. Moves the tank forward towards both the anti-air guns. So if they start moving towards the battlecopter again, then he'll be able to protect it over here. And then if they try to retreat, then it's kind of covered by this this other one on the west side. He's gonna have to move this anti-air basically straight back, which is not where he wants it to go. Feels like Junk Mail's in a really good position right now. But he's expending a lot of resources here. Like this isn't ideal. This is an anti-air fight out of this trap. Junk Mail building another battlecopter makes a lot of sense. It's really good for Eagle to have a lot of them.
So, this force on the west side of the map seems to have been completely defeated. That's pretty rough. This was a really bad attack from the tank. The tank on a shoal with low HP onto a tank on a city. Even though the tank on the city had low HP, it just didn't do a whole lot. I guess it's power building for junk mail. All these infantry just kind of get trounced. We got 2 tanks coming out and a mech. Guessing this mech is going to be used to protect the artillery, like we saw in the game with LVJD and Slame. Okay, so this is a good hit onto the anti. Okay, so both these anti are very weak, so it's really good that Junk Mill's got this B-copter headed around. The B-copters are gonna have to do a whole lot of work. Is he gonna be able to stop this? He's not gonna be able to stop this cap. Could he have not moved? No, there's no way that he could have stopped it anyways. Unless he was willing to attack something else with this tank. I mean, I guess that depending on how you're doing the math, the city is worth less than a bunch of damage onto an anti-air. Feels like the city is worth more, but in reality, it's, well, it's only 2 turns that it takes for it to be worth 4,000. Each turn it's worth 2,000. In terms of net worth swing. This is not good for junk mail. He thought that he was safe because this B-copter won't die, but it doesn't matter, it won't die if it can't move. Not being able to move is basically the same thing as being dead, and in fact, that battlecopter is dead. So there's more battlecopters on the way, but there's a new anti-air gun, and there's still one of the old anti-air guns on the loose. I don't think that junk mail can capture the city back these turns, just because this tank exists and this anti-air gun exists, and I would gladly throw this anti-air at the infantry knowing that it's going to die with only 2 HP to stop the cap in 1 turn. Oh, he doesn't even have to because he has super. That's so unfair. Did I miss the super animation? Yeah, absolutely. I gotta go all the way back. Okay, so he uses hyper upgrade. This goes to a 7 HP. This is pretty big. It's also able to move super far. Not quite able to move on to the battlecopter. That would have been the real 1-2. With the super bonus, it probably is able to get the one-hit kill. Maybe he'll hit this infantry with tank and try to kill the copter like right away. He doesn't have anything to stop this cap, but depends on what he values. 8 damage, that's just nuts. Oh, he found a tank to hit this thing, so he can hit this infantry with the tank and then drive the... Yep. And it is enough to kill it. Oh god, that feels so bad. You can hit this tank with the one that was all the way back there? Okay. Alright, alright. Junk Mail does not have a lot anymore. He's really gonna have to make use of this Super CO power. The lightning strike. Is it kosher to call it Blitzkrieg? Okay, it is doing a lot. Okay. So, yeah, he accomplished quite a bit. Two anti-air guns. That's really interesting. Despite there only being one battlecopter on the field, built 2 AAs, which means that he is using those basically just to protect his tanks and mow down infantry and prevent more battlecopters from being made. He thinks that's Junk Mail's way back into the game, which is probably true. That doesn't stop Junk Mail. He doesn't care. He'll do it. He's a madman. Man, this is just impossible to kill. You can't deal with it. He's gotta kiss this tank goodbye, basically. When you have turns, this is an issue. So when Junk Mail, he doesn't have enough funds to build the battlecopter and another vehicle, so he's building 4 units that all get countered by anti-air. That's a big issue, it seems to me. If he could build a battlecopter, even though Starflash just built 2 anti-air guns, it wouldn't be that bad if he also built a tank. But he did not build a tank. He built 3 infantry and 1 battlecopter. So all of those will die to an anti-air. And this is just nuts. He's throwing... Yeah, he's just throwing like anti-airs at tanks that are pretty low. He just swung at that. I didn't realize that would be so effective. It's had 4 HP. He took it to 3. It has 1 now. did 3 damage to it. Yeah, and it didn't take any damage in return. It's a big deal. There goes another tank. So this is the first battlecopter that Starflash has built. And he gets to build a tank in the same turn. So it's not the same situation as what I was talking about with Junkmail, where he's just not able to get out units that Starflash has to think very hard about dealing with. Like, this is really difficult to deal with. You can't build something that counters both of them. Okay, so that V-Copter was not far enough away from the anti-air. He's gonna drive up. How much damage will this do? 5. That's really good. I mean, that's not that different from a tank. So it could have done 4 or 5, but it's more likely to do 5. Yeah, it's almost 6. I mean, in the sense that it still 2-shots it, it's basically just a tank. The counterattack is a little bit stronger in this, like, he doesn't actually get the counterattack because it's an artillery, but I mean, the artillery, if it was going to fire this next turn, which I hope that it doesn't, then it would be a little bit stronger. But I mean, that's kind of a small price to pay when your opponent is building nothing but infantry and B-copters otherwise. He built 2 tanks last turn, so I shouldn't say that, but he was kind of forced into it because of the number of anti-airs that were on the field. Starflash twisted Junkmail's arm, and they said, okay, I'll build some tanks, fine. Yeah, and Junkmail just gives up at this point. It's definitely really hard for Junkmail. Just feels like he was leaning into the battlecopter thing a little bit too heavily. Obviously, Eagle gets better air units than other COs, but maybe not to the degree that can be the primary fighting force of your army. It's just too expensive, and there wasn't quite enough funds on this map to support, like I said, a tank, an infantry, a tank, 2 infantry, and a battlecopter or something like that. That would have felt really good to build because you would have felt like you were dealing with the anti-airs along with being able to threaten things with the battlecopter. Still, well done. I'd like to see another replay that goes a little bit later. I'll be trolling the games finished sanction on Lucifer. If anybody has a match they'd like me to analyze, I'm more than happy to do that. Just message me on Discord. I'm in the AWBW Discord. I'm Fidiscus number 3614. 3614. Samuel. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. It'll be on Aphotic Arena anew. And, good luck.